Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. And yes, we have got a special guest alongside me today. I'd like to welcome YST for the first time to the channel. YST, how you doing, man?
How's it going, Hades? Thanks for having me on.
Not at all, man. It's been so long, like, trying to get this together. So really excited for this. I guess, look, for some people that don't know YST yet, the legend, or one of the legends behind Raidzilla, YST, give us a bit of a lowdown of what you've been up to.
All right, so I go by the name of YST for anyone who doesn't know. I've been creating content for Raid for about 1 year now. I think it was my 1 year anniversary about last week, actually. Really enjoying the game. And yeah, we had Raidzilla in the Raid Awards. You may have seen that with like Darth and stuff. And yeah, overall just enjoying the game, really.
Awesome. Awesome. So look, YST's got a load of content on his channel. We're also doing another collab on his channel, which I'll link at the end of this video and I'll pin below. So once you finish watching this one, come and check out YST channel. Drop him a sub as well. But today we're going to do the best epics to fight clan boss. And back on YST's channel, we're going to talk about legendaries for the same topic. Those that can beat up the clan boss. Now, we were just having a bit of a chat before we got recording here. I was talking about this extra legendary event. And I kind of got like a bit of a poll going on my YouTube community page saying like, are you mental? Are you pulling for this or not? And I've told people don't pull any shards for this, but I'm just going to eat like a couple of, maybe a couple of temples before we get going. Just a couple.
Come on, Genzin. Come on. Oh.
Why do you love Genzin so much, by the way? What's the deal with that?
It's just the whole theme of my channel, like the whole Shadow King, Ninja vibe. Yeah. I don't know. Since he came out, I wanted that guy.
All right, last 10, and then
I seen a candle god there. Get out of here.
Last 10, come on. Don't do this. This is why I said don't pull shards. Damn. Anyway, let's move on.
More there. Oh, leave it there.
We'll leave 5 in there, yeah. Right, okay, so I guess, do you want to kick us off? Your kind of first, there's not really any particular order to the 10. It's just these are the 10 that we feel, in fact, it's 12, isn't it? 12 we feel are the best epics in the game. Kick us off. Who's your first one?
All right, I'm going to go straight into this, and it's going to be the one, the only Skullcrusher. He is absolutely amazing. Like, guys, I don't know what Plarium's deal with counterattack champions in this game. They just don't want to bring any more out. I've kind of fingers crossed for like a Void one to come out someday. But overall, we got the A1, which is pretty nice for like healing himself back up to full when you're in like a clan boss team. We got the counterattack, which can practically double your damage, and the ally protection, which is so strong against the clan boss.
Yeah.
Also in his A3, decreases durations of all debuffs on this champion by 1 turn at the start of each turn. This is really great to kind of cleanse that stun debuff, or really good situational stuff all around the game, to be honest. But yeah,
for me, he kind of like, he changed my clan boss team back in the day. Like back in the day when I was like coming up through Raid, unkillable teams weren't even really a thing. Yeah, this guy massively like changed my account. And he actually hits pretty damn hard. Like he's not a bad hitter as well.
And look at his book situation. We're talking about 5 epic books. This is insane. You never see this rarely.
Absolutely. And it's probably worth just calling out. Some people get this wrong, but when he decreases the duration of a stun specifically, it won't cool down his counterattack. A lot of people say, why don't you just have him as a stun target? You can, but you need to make sure that he's running quick enough then to go 4 times for every time the clan boss goes 3 times to get this counterattack off. But this dude, I mean, I totally agree. He needs to be in the top 12 for sure.
Yeah, insane.
Okay, cool. Let me jump into my first one then. So I think I'm going to stick with the same faction. Look, we got to call this one out. He is pretty much, I'd say he's maybe the most desirable champion in Raid.
So like, Hades, how long did it take you to get your first ever man-eater?
I got my first one fairly early, not fairly early, probably it took me about 3 months. Like, it was before like unkillable teams were really a thing. And when we were starting to dabble with the idea of unkillable teams, I had one before I was a content creator, and you know, I was like, I need to book this guy, but I didn't want to keep wailing out hundreds of pounds on books, right? So I was throwing my epic books into his cooldowns or into his steals. They went everywhere except the one steal you want it to be. Which is the A3. And at the time I was trying to build like a man-eater and Kaimar comp, because like I say, there wasn't a whole load of speed tunes for this at the time. I couldn't really get it to work. I had this kind of big elaborate plan of this is going to work. It didn't work. And eventually I got a second one probably about a year after playing.
I still only have one of this dude after 3 years.
No.
I don't know what a unkillable team is at this time.
Well, I guess like going into it, unkillable teams are by far the easiest way to get maximum rewards on Nightmare Clan Boss and Ultra Nightmare. You can get the top chest with way less resources if you've got 2 of this dude running. And we're talking like pretty reasonable speeds and like level 50 champions that can poison, and you're still going to be getting yourself a 2 key. That's how much of a game changer he is. He's actually like, even if you're not running an unkillable team, no one does this, but he's got one of the best chances to put a decreased attack out of like any champion in the game as well. Like,
and he's got that block debuffs. It's pretty insane. Like just as a champion alone.
Yeah. People kind of don't really realize, like, because they use him so much in unkillables, they don't realize how good he can be generally. But his A1 is also just great for a normal clan boss team. But yeah, this dude up there is probably, as I say, probably the most desirable champion to get alongside, you know, like your Seers and other kind of pretty busted. They tend to be void epics, actually. Pretty busted void epics. He's in the mix.
Yeah,
okay, cool. Give us your second one, man.
All right, so next up is actually going to be a champion that I think when you pull her, it's like, oh my god, this is like game changing. And she goes by the name of Sepulchre Sentinel.
All right, can I get this right first time?
Can you guess?
She Night Revs?
Yep, there we go.
Yeah, I'm so bad at factions sometimes. I'm like, where is she? Right, yeah, Sepulchre, yeah. Talk us about what she does. Talk us about this kind of like swimsuit type thing she's got going on.
I don't know what's going on there for a Night Rev. She looks at, like, if someone comes at her in battle, like, how is she supposed to protect herself dressed like that?
Exactly. I mean, she's got a shield, but it's not nearly big enough.
So which fusion was she a part of? Can you recall it before I just go into this here? I can't remember.
I don't really remember, because I do remember thinking or kind of saying to viewers, maybe you should take her over the main fusion, but I can't remember which one it was. Maybe
that's what I was just about to say,
going back a while.
But basically, whichever fusion it was, guys, Sepulchre Sentinel was, I literally skipped that fusion to keep this champion, and she was the first like champion in my roster to get me to Ultra Nightmare. She's got an amazing decreased attack on the A1. She's got increased defense and a block debuffs on the A2, which if you can tune out a 4-to-3 ratio, it's pretty much going to be up at the times that you need it. Insane. And that passive can really protect your stun target if you're not running her as your stun target, if that makes sense. Because what it does is blocks a 50% chance of incoming damage. This is clutch, especially when you got like a Skullcrusher in your team. It really does help out in keeping them alive, getting to the later rounds. And
I've had so many like clutch moments with this passive. It's actually one of the things I say, like when playing launch new champions now, a bit like, you know, Simple's champion, and I'm like, give the dude some sort of fun passive. Like, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. A passive which, you know, it could be a bit RNG based, that's fine, but can be a game changer on a champion and can make you kind of think, you know what, this is someone I'm going to run just because, like, there's other decreased attack champions which are solid. I actually think this passive makes her one of the best, even like legendaries included. It's so clutch at times. It's
busted, especially when you're trying to get like Ultra Nightmare or Nightmare Top Chest. It's so insane. And she's great everywhere in the game. It's like a champion that you invest in, that you can bring her almost everywhere for progression. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Awesome. Right, let me move on to my second one then. So I'm going to go with this one. Again, people are going to be like, that's all we ever hear about is this dude. He's a dwarf. He's angry. He's got the angry eyes. Geomancer is just, I mean, he got his apparent nerf. It wasn't a nerf. He just got changed. But he is still busted in this game. Like, not busted. He's super good. He's insanely good right across the game. But Clan Boss, he's probably up there as one of the highest damage dealing like potential champions in the game.
He's so good.
He's so good. Like, it's all about his burn. So once he's got his burn out there, and it has to be his burn. It can't be someone else's burn. You don't get credit for that. It has to be his. And it goes out for 3 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. So you should be able to keep it up pretty much the whole time. And then he's got this passive. Firstly, the passive reduces the damage that you take across the board by 15%. Amazing. It's almost like strengthen on your team. It's so crazy good. Like, people don't appreciate how good this is. You straight up mitigate damage.
Literally,
That's it.
Hades, I did a video like I'd say 2 days ago, and it was kind
yeah.
of like a damage mitigation test, right?
Cool.
And the kind of test between that was with like Geomancers, Venomages, etc. And we were trying to see how long we could survive in the clan boss with just pure damage mitigation. So we had no increased defense up on like AoE 1. And literally, we survived till turn 57 in a 1-to-1 ratio team using passives like Geomancers. It's insane.
Nice. You know what?
Yep.
I've got a pad with like video ideas.
Yep.
I've not seen that video of yours, and I'm like, oh, one of the ones on my pad for this weekend was a video about damage mitigation champions.
Oh, really? Yes. I did 2 in the last week.
People going to be like, nice, copy it. No, that's cool, man. Those type of videos are really interesting because it allows you to understand like why some mechanics in the game are so good. And this one is one of the best. It's so strong in your team to just keep them alive to later stages. And at the same time, when he starts taking hits or your team takes hits, basically he's got this chance to deal. Basically, it's like a War Master type level of damage hit back at the clan boss. And it can be totally broken. Like over the course of a full clan boss run, you can get so much damage away from this passive. And the cool thing for me about this is you actually don't need to build him for damage. You can just build him to survive. Yeah. And his damage all comes from this passive. He's also got the ability to remove the increased attack from the clan boss as well. So his A2, as long as you tune it right, will just whip away that increased attack. Means you're not going to take that extra hits. But yeah, Geo is, for me, top tier. Absolutely top tier for clan boss.
I think it's probably the best, or one of the best epics in this faction anyway. We'll speak about the other ones later on.
Yeah.
So
well,
good.
Hit me with your third one. What we got?
All right, so next up is going to be in the Sacred Order. And when this champion came out, I was actually such a big fan of it. And it's Deacon Armstrong. He is so criminally good. Like, how is this dude an epic? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, he's got the leech on the A1. So for people that aren't aware, having a leech on the clan boss allows you to stop having lifesteal on all of your champions, right?
Yeah.
So having this one debuff can literally change your account. So you can start using Star War and getting 30% less AoE damage. Really great A1.
Or you can just like start plowing more damage into your damage dealers. Like instead of having to put lifesteal everywhere, you can start increasing your crit damage with your substats. It's actually a game changer. Moving away from lifesteal gear is a game changer. So yeah, I totally agree, man.
And then usually what we kind of like to do is head into the A3 first. So fills turn meters by 15% and also decreases. We don't really care about that second part, but then the grants an extra turn. So what you're doing is you're filling the turn meters of your allies and you're leading into that A2 ability, which has a drop defense. So we've got 3 really crucial things here. And he's also got a speed aura, allowing to help your team get to a 2-to-1 ratio. So overall, I'm a big fan. He's pretty hard to tune though, with the extra turn. But the way to kind of counter that is bring a cleanser. Pretty much, that's all you need to do. Have that cleanse for when the stun target goes off, have a block debuffs on AoE 2, and you're ready to rock and roll with this guy.
Yeah. It's also worth saying, like, he's one of the few, I'm going to talk about one next actually, that when he does his speed increase, his turn meter increase, he also gets an extra turn. And what it basically does is it reduces the cooldown of this ability. It's almost like it's on a 2-turn cooldown, which there's only like a handful of champions, 3 or 4 champions in the whole game that can do this. And that's what allows that 2-for-1 speed comp. So yeah, he was in my free-to-play Ultra Nightmare team at the end. And really he was the reason. He was the reason I could run on a 2-for-1 basis and actually beat up Ultra Nightmare. So yeah, totally agree, man. Awesome.
He's so good.
Let's talk about then my one, which is basically, it's a similar sort of setup here. I'm going into Seeker.
Okay.
So Seeker allows the same type of thing. He's given us a turn meter fill on his A2. And he also has got that same grants an extra turn. And if you can go from... So Seeker's part of some of the best unkillable teams in the game because of this ability. Basically, he's moving your turns so quick that you can get that 2-for-1 speed going. And he also gives you increased attack at the same time, which just ups the level of your damage for your nukers. But yeah, it's just an insane ability. It just makes your team so much stronger. And if you're not running unkillable, then exactly the same as what we just spoke about with Deacon there. If you move from 1-for-1 comp to 2-for-1 comp, guess what? Double the damage. Basically.
Busted.
Basically
Well,
double
what,
the
Hades?
damage.
I wouldn't know because after 3 years, I don't have a Seeker. Can you imagine?
You don't have a Seeker? No way.
I've got
No
every
way.
epic that's not avoiding the game pretty much, apart from Seeker and Skullcrown and Seer.
This champion is really good. I mean, he's good he's good in other content as well, honestly. I did a takeover on Undead, and I wasn't going to use Seeker, and someone said to me, you know, you should. His provoke's pretty good against like the Valk waves, and I'm not even joking. This guy came in so clutch in Faction Wars. I couldn't believe how effective this A1 provoke was for just basically locking somebody out, especially of that second wave where you got like triple Valk and you know the one. You know the one.
Yeah, everyone knows the one.
And then like if you're about to take a big knock, probably less so for Clan Boss, but it still can affect Clan Boss towards the end of the run. You can also get this increased defense buff across your team, which, you know, as we know, is just huge. He also gets a heal from it as well. But yeah, all in all, the main thing about him is his A2, but solid champion all round for Clan Boss.
We'll get you one day, Seeker. I'm coming.
Right,
all right,
next
so
one, man?
Next up, we're heading back into the Sacred Orders, actually.
Okay.
And I would put this as... This is a pretty cool, hard one to call, but I think this is my favorite...
You're not calling out Juliana, are you?
Actually, we'll save that for another day. I love Juliana. But
I can't stand Juliana.
Guys, who has been around here? Comment in the comment section below. Who remembers when Juliana was S tier? Like, everybody wanted her. It was crazy.
It was Juliana or Steel Skull, wasn't it? Like, one of the two is who you wanted. Juliana, she's such a bad epic. I think she is anyway.
All right, guys.
Sorry,
so back on path here, we're going to be heading into Godseeker Aneri.
Yeah.
She is my... I want to say it, but I'm not too sure because there's two choices. But Godseeker Aneri is up there with probably the best epic for Clan Boss in the game. I love her.
Really?
It's so good. Not only does she hit extremely hard, but she has that AoE, which heals all of your allies and increases the duration of all buffs on your allies by 1 turn. This is crucial for keeping your buffs up on your teams, especially in 2-to-1 ratios or 4-to-3 ratios.
Yeah.
We also have that clutch passive, which puts that revive on death just before someone dies. And then also revives and fills 10 meters of allies and resets their cooldowns of their skills on a 4-turn cooldown. It's so good. I can't express how good it is.
She's in my current Clan Boss team. In fact, she's in my best ever Clan Boss team where I hit like a couple of 100 mil.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's an epic in a team that's doing a 200 mil in Clan Boss. It shows a value for sure, man. I totally agree. She's awesome.
Actually hits like a truck. But I think that this is something I want to talk about as well. So the revive on death bait and the heal and the revives is really clutch for, like, if you're trying to get your top chest or on Nightmare or Ultra Nightmare and you're trying to even 3-key or 2-key, whatever you're doing, this can literally make you surpass an extra 5 million damage just from this passive and revive. People undervalue how great that 50% turn meter and resetting the cooldowns is. So let's just say your Skullcrusher dies, right? This can literally bring that Skullcrusher back, put him all of his cooldowns back so he can get his ally protection on, and you can get through like an extra few rounds of this.
Yeah.
Underrated. But as go on.
No, sorry, I was just going to say, like, the revive on death, it's a shame that she falls into that group that once you go past 50 turns, it no longer activates because Clan Boss block revives, right? But for like longer runs, she kind of falls into that same bracket. But still, I totally get what you're saying. Like, if you're talking about a regular team that's just trying to kind of squeeze their way up,
that's
some
what
of these abilities,
referring to,
so good,
in the same kind of category, before we move on, just an honorable mention would be Sandlash Survivor, who I think is a really great choice, but I'd still put, personally, Godseeker just above her, just because of the fact she's got heals and... Yeah, but Sandlash with that amazing A2 as well, which increases the duration again. And her passive is really clutch, like, similar to a Sepulchre Sentinel. She places like a block damage on herself with the ally protection. So she's not taking damage, but really great ability.
Yeah, if you don't have an ally protector in your team, she's maybe even better. It all depends on setup, but absolutely awesome epic as well.
Yeah, for sure. So who you got next, Mercedes?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with someone I think in the comments I might get some grief for. But I still think that Jared is top tier. I honestly do. Like S tier for Clan Boss. Like, and the reason for it is, so he's got a decent chance to put a decreased attack with his A1. And decreased attack, if you're not running unkillable, is still, for me, like the first debuff on the sheet. You know, it's like, if you don't get this debuff out there, then you're going to die so much earlier than if it's not there. So this is a strong chance to land it. You kind of want a counter attacker or an ally attacker in your team to make sure that you've got better chance to make this happen. But it's his A2 as well. So we've spoken about it before, but ally protection is basically broken good on clan boss. And the way it works is pretty much the clan boss scales his damage, but the ally protection, the amount of damage you're protecting for doesn't scale with the clan boss's damage. It still pretends it's like level 1. So all of those extra tickles that he's getting when you get to like later stages don't really matter. Plus increased defense, you know, it's on a 4-turn cooldown, which is a bit of a shame. It would be so great if this was on a 3. If it was a 3, this would be like probably up there with some of the god tier epics that are coming out nowadays. But still insanely strong. Still going to see you through to later stages of the game. You might just want someone else that can do the same abilities here to almost like him with a Skullcrusher to kind of swap the ally protect is awesome. And he's got a passive which throws out some heals, which is quite nice when you start to take a bunch of damage. So it's like additional extra heals coming through. But I ran Jared in my clan boss team for a long time, even ahead of, I had like champions like Ultan. I ran him ahead of Ultan because of this A2, the ally protect.
Such an OG, but he's just stood the test of time. He's so good. Yeah.
And he's still useful, like you said with Sepulchre. Like he is useful in other content. He's still in some of the better teams for places like Griffin or Iradoff, where you really need that decreased attack as well, plus the team protection. So you won't kind of like waste your resources pumping it into him if you're going to put him into your team. So yeah, for me, awesome champ. Okay, man. Who we got next?
So next up here is actually a champion that I think is really undervalued when you talk about clan boss, and he goes by the name of Vogoth from the Undead Hordes. He definitely
is underrated for clan boss. I don't see a lot of people talk about him for clan boss.
He's so good.
I'll just say on this guy, I was randomly looking through some of my analytics for YouTube, and I did a Vogoth video. It must be like 8 months ago, and like last month, I had 10,000 views on that old Vogoth video. That's how much people search for this dude. Because he's pretty much like, in most content, you talk about clan boss, but in most content, he's just like the ultimate tank, right? It's just such a good tank.
Yeah.
But yeah, talk us through it. Why clan boss then?
Heading back into that damage mitigation thing we mentioned earlier, he's kind of like a great way to put him into that damage mitigation teams. Because what he does is, when he's attacked, he places that leech debuff on the attacker, right? So no matter the affinity, he's able to get a consistent leech up on the clan boss every single turn. It's insane. It literally never drops off. He also, whenever this champion is attacked, heals by 25% of the damage from boss attacks in the second part there. So not is he only placing the leech so your champions can like counter attack or whatever. He also has that heal every single turn by 25% and a triple hit A1 for Giant Slayer procs. It's busted. Like when you talk about ultimate support champions, criminally underrated this guy for the clan boss.
Yeah.
For sure.
He's also got a chance to increase the duration of random debuffs on his A1.
Yep. Like a mini Vizier. It's really solid.
Yeah, that is solid. Would you just turn off his A2 or perhaps
I turned off his A2 when I did him in a clan boss run earlier. Yeah, just kind of like
you can't place a decreased attack, can you, unless provokes out there?
Yeah.
No, okay.
So you just put the A1, get that triple hit with the Giant Slayer, increase those durations, make full use of his passives, and that's pretty much what he's there to do.
Yeah.
He's keeping your team alive. Yeah.
So would you say with his leech and his passive, that's literally all the healing you think you would need for a whole run?
If you've got those damage mitigation things, you can surpass 60 turns without a problem on a 1-to-1 ratio.
Cool.
Yeah.
He is cool. He's actually not someone that I really look at for clan boss, but I do look at him for things like Hydra and a lot of Doom Tower stuff. But yeah, you're right. He's actually solid. He is solid. The one thing I don't like about him is his speed. His speed is so damn slow, but I guess
this is where the thing is. You can throw him like your slowest in the team just to tank. Like you can put him at like 80,000 HP or whatever, and he's going to be healing your allies, putting that leech up, and just that's pretty much it for this guy. Like, in a
Yeah,
triple
yeah.
81.
No, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Okay, let's go in with, I guess, someone to rival Maneater. And
Okay.
I don't have her yet, so it's quite sad. I really want her because I've played around with her on other people's accounts. I've made some cool, unkillable teams. But Amita, we knew it when she came out. She was part of, was it the Brogni Fusion? I think the Brogni Fusion.
It could have been.
Like, a lot of people are saying, which one do you want? Well, Brogni was insanely good, which is why I took Brogni. But damn, Demitha also insanely good. Maybe it wasn't Brogni. I can't remember. Anyway,
I don't think it was Brogni because I was just looking on your inventory and you've never.
I don't
had
have her. Yeah, it must have been Herndig. It must be Herndig. I didn't go for Herndig.
And diggity.
Anyway, I should have picked this chick up instead.
Yeah.
So basically, what she got, she's kind of got that unkillable setup in her kit. So she's got this places a block damage on a 3-turn cooldown. And it's a 3-turn cooldown that's really important here. And you can actually kind of set her up with an heiress who would have known this rare's popped out of nowhere and is now becoming part of some of the best unkillable teams in the game. But she's probably, alongside Maneater, one of the easiest champions to kind of set up. She's quick. She's got good stats as well. That's pretty much it. Like, outside of that, I mean, you can use her in other places. It's A2 as well. So inbuilt into a kit, she's increasing the duration of your buffs, a bit like what we said with Godseeker. So
Yeah.
you can kind of build her into teams that have got an increased speed buff. She then extends that. And because it's on a 3-turn cooldown, you actually keep the increased speed up the whole time. So you don't necessarily have to build people 100 miles an hour to get that kind of high level of speed consistently through the runs. And that's why her with Eris together is just an awesome combo. But yeah, Demitha's kind of come in. A lot of people are saying to me they prefer her even over a Maneater, which who would have thought people would be saying that? So
Yeah, she's so versatile because even if you're not running like an unkillable comp, just that A2 as well, like a Godseeker, is just so good.
Yeah, well, if you weren't running unkillable, you can actually use the A2 as a kind of like mini cleanse as well. So she can actually cleanse off like a stun hit. The tricky thing is if you're trying to sync up the block damage and the stun cleanse, you can't really do the two. You got to kind of choose her for one or the other. She either needs to be at the front end of your turn order to cleanse, or the back end of your turn order to put the block damage out there. So that's a shame actually. But otherwise, I mean, she's top tier. Top tier is an epic for clan boss for sure.
We'll get her
cool.
one day.
Yeah. All right, who we got next, man?
All right, so final one on my list is going to be, this is the one when I was saying Godseeker might be my favorite, but I may have to give it to this dude. So in the Shadowkin, the Frogman, Torog the Frog.
Yes, I was after this guy for so long.
He's so my god. How can you have an epic so good in this game, Plarium? Like
I slept on this guy as well. When he first came out, I was kind of like, yeah, he's all right. Seems okay. And then I actually did a stream with Yang, who had done some work with this dude. And from that moment on, I was like, how is this guy not really on my radar? And like, I actually wanted him way more than legendary champions.
Yeah, I think just like the presumption of it is when you first see this champion come into the game is the A1's got a low chance of decreased attack. You see a provoke, but you kind of don't really see how much value the A3 is from like the first time that you see it. But yeah, heading into his kit anyway, so we got the decreased attack on A1. You kind of may want to have another champion like an Iron Brago in your team just to help him out. A2 with blocking off in clan boss, period. Yeah. It's got no use at all. But the A3, so just kind of a scenario for anyone that's not aware. Let's just say you're running the Underpriest Brogni Lydia composition. So what he's doing is placing that shield with the ally protection. Underpriest Brogni can then make it bigger.
Yeah.
And he's also healing himself, which is kind of like the unique part of his kit as well. 3 major things. And the heal is increased by 2.5% for each poison debuff on the enemy team, which coincides with his passive. Whenever he's attacked, 50% chance of that poison debuff being placed on the attacker.
Yeah, guys, it's per hit as well, isn't
insane.
it? So if you're against like a affinity clan boss where they start hit multiple times with his AoEs, this can proc like several times.
He's so good.
Yeah, he is so good. He's again, so this dude also in my best ever clan boss team, like 200 mil team. Like this ally protection whilst also, like you say, there's so much in this A3 on a 3-turn
Yeah, there's
cooldown.
so much in there. It's like it's so hard to like even to get these kind of kits, guys. It's like you kind of have to break up your team into like 2 champions to have the shield and the ally protection, right?
Yeah.
This dude has it in 1 ability as an epic. It's crazy.
And if you could get your team running on a 2-for-1, like we've spoken about earlier, actually his decreased attack is, you use it enough, because this is on a 3-turn cooldown, you actually end up using his decreased attack enough to keep it on consistently. But if you're not running, like you say, if you're not running on a 2-for-1, you either kind of need to get either backup or a counter attack sort of setup or a ally attack setup, something like that, to make sure that you get more chances to get this off. But yeah, this dude, he's actually top draw. Right, I've got one left. To go. He feels like a bit of a damp squib after looking at Torog now. Like, I'm like, I shouldn't have saved this guy till last. He's really good, but compared to Torog, I don't know, man. So where is he? Farakin. So we've not spoken about an ally attack champion, and this dude, I
love this dude.
So good. I mean, he brings so much for clan boss in his kits. So he's got a decreased defense, so it's just going to allow you to do more damage with his A1. A pretty decent chance to land it, 50%. But then he starts to bring more power. So his A2, he's bringing you poison, he's bringing you an HP burn, 3-turn cooldown. And then his A3, pretty much, you can speed tune this so that he's on a 4-for-3 ratio and the rest of your team are on perhaps a 1-for-1.
Yeah.
He can give you increased crit damage and crit rate for the whole fight. That's basically where you get to. Like, you only need to build your champions with 70% crit rate. He gets extra crit damage. And then, you know what? Why don't we throw in an ally attack at the same time where everyone apart from this dude is throwing out their hits? It's so strong. It's such a strong ally. It's probably, he's up there with the best ally attack abilities in the game. Even
he's actually my favorite one, even out of the legendaries. Yeah. The only thing that, like, when I first pulled his champion, like when he first came out, the only thing that put me off was the passive. But guys, if you do read this, it's not as bad as you think. Like, it's
kind of weird. I don't really get the passive. So I guess it's deflects
20% of all incoming damage. Yeah, kind of to protect him. He's a bit of a selfish dude. But if you're bringing like other defensive-based champions into your team, it's not that much of a big deal. Like, it's not as much as, like, you see 20% and you're like, oh my god, he's killing me. He's not. It's not too bad, guys.
When you're then spreading that over 4 allies, it's actually not that much. It's almost like he's got his own built ally protect, or not ally protect, like own protect.
Protecting that big old belly button there.
But this dude, like, he's coming for me as my last one, but I think he's a bit of a game changer for a lot of people. And then if you want to kind of then punch damage even further on for even things like unkillable teams, actually he can come in there and just kind of help you push from 3 key to 2 or even 2 to 1 key in a lot of comps. So, Farakin for me is, as I say, like, I mean, we're talking top 12s here of epics. That is top tier.
Great choice.
Awesome. Look, I think we'll kind of wrap it up there for this one. We're going to go and talk about legendary champions on YST's channel. Come and join us there as well. YST, thanks for joining us, man.
I appreciate it. Long time in the making, and thanks for having me on. And
awesome.
Wicked. I loved it.
Guys, comment below. Who did we miss? Who should be in the top 12 epics for Clan Boss? Which ones have we got totally wrong? I'm sure there'll be a lot of juicy comments down below.
How can you forget this guy, Hades?
Yeah.
See you later, guys.
Awesome. Cheers, guys.